evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another fabulous episode of Hashtag Actors Life, the show all for and about the hustle and bustle lives of actors. On tonight's show, we have child star actor and Get Rich or Die Trying star Marc John Jeffries in the building to discuss his life as an actor and his acting academy. And later we have a special roundtable discussion with a hardworking actor to discuss rejection. And later we have an incredible performance from a Limelight artist. And it's all going down right here, right now on Hashtag Actors Life. Don't go nowhere. Ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another fabulous installment of Hashtag Actors Life. I am your spectacular, fabulous host, Shamiria. And before we get to our guest of honor, tonight I would like to discuss acting arsenals, being prepared for business. You know, I once had an acting professor to tell me, he said, you know, a business major can go into an audition and book it before an actor will. And I didn't quite understand what he meant at the time, but throughout my experience as an actress, I completely understand what he meant now. A lot of times as artists, what ends up happening is we get so caught up in the creative aspect, the actual art element of the business, that we forget that it is just that, it's a business. So what does that mean? Going into an audition, being professional, being on time, knowing your sides, having a headshot ready and available, not just assuming that the casting director has one on hand because you were submitted electronically. If you are doing this seriously as a professional, then you have to treat it professionally. Otherwise, it's just a hobby. Here to discuss his life as an actor and his acting academy is Marc John Jeffries. Tonight's guest of honor is a professional actor, Marc John Jeffries. I know you've been acting since you were very, very young. How did you initially get into it?
The way I started was crazy. My dad was a professional photographer, and he held the account for American Express and a couple other companies. They were doing an ad where they needed a handheld baby with a woman holding it, showing how easy it was to swipe your American Express card at ATM. Nice. The baby that they had got sick, and my father and his partner couldn't find a new child, so he was like, "You got a newborn, right? He's 3 weeks old. Let's use him." Wow. So my dad was like, "All right, cool." Use me in that. His partner was like, "Oh, you should get him into print. He's a cute-looking kid." So they set up a meeting for a modeling agency. I started modeling. That turned to commercials. That turned to movies.
If your parents hadn't introduced you into the business, do you think you would have ended up in the profession, or do you think you would have chosen something else?
I think I would have ended up in a profession eventually. I don't think that it would have happened as soon as it did. You know, I don't feel that I would have been a child actor, because that's not something that kids really choose. Even though parents say, she loves that. No, no, you sit her down and you're like, you can do that, right? You can do that.
I know you have, you started your own acting academy, right?
Yes, ma'am. So
what can students look forward to learning though?
I say that people can look for structure to actually start working. You know, I focus on audition techniques. I focus on getting you the job, so that way you're actually doing something with your talent. Life is hard, man. To be spending all this money for classes and stuff like that, spending all of this time putting everything into it, and then nothing comes of it. Who has time for that? So I really believe in immediately seeing results within the first few months of you starting, depending on your experience level.
Right.
Yep.
You've worked with so many great people in the business. What is the most valuable lessons you've learned from them?
When I did The Haunted Mansion, I befriended Eddie Murphy and his family. So I was pretty much living with them. I was at their house 2 or 3 months on end, doing schooling with his kids and everything. So I used to see everybody over there. And one day I had an audition for, remember Homie the Clown?
Yeah.
They was doing a movie out of it, Homie the Clown.
Y'all
Yeah.
love it.
Keenan was directing it, Keenan Ivory Wayans, and Damon was starring in it, I think.
Right.
So I get the audition. Guess who walks in Eddie's house? Keenan. So I'm like, hey, Eddie, can you go tell him I'm auditioning, put in a good word for me, let him know I'm a good actor. And then he said, all right, come in, let me talk to you. So he takes me in like the den, and he just sat me down, and he said, why you want me to do that? And I said, cuz that's your man, like, you could tell him and I'm in there.
Yeah, like, put
and he
me
said,
on.
but he'll be giving it to you. So if he does this, he could do that too. Anything that's given can be taken away, but the things that you earn is rightfully yours. And he was like, at the end of the day, if he gives you that role, that was a favor. So now, do you have the same grit, grind, and ability to go out and do that again? The business is about sustained success, not temporary. So he was like, earn everything you get. Everything you get, you earn it. And I was like, dang. Wow. All right, cool. And it just changed my whole outlook on everything, you know? And one of the things that my agent hates about me, and I promise you, it's going to sound crazy, I would not do a role, even if it's offered to me now, I would not do a role that I feel I can't play. If I feel that I cannot play that role to the best of my ability and give them what they're looking for, I don't want the offer. Let me audition for it. Let me prove to you and to myself that I deserve that. And I've done that several times. I've had a lot of offers. Some I just turned down because they're crazy. But other roles, it's like they intrigue me in a certain way, and I'm like, I would like to do that, but I don't know if I physically have the range to stretch that yet. You know, and I just realized, like, when you're patient and you wait, the good roles will come. Because if I'm too hungry right now, right, or if I'm starving and I'm like, oh, I'll do it. Now, when it doesn't look believable on screen, guess who's getting blamed for that?
Right.
Me. So now that might dampen my future success. So, you know, I learned how to say no to certain things and really the value of earning stuff instead of it being given to you.
But you know what? You know your type too, and I think it's important that actors know their type.
I say this to my students. I'm like, y'all selfish. Y'all are so selfish because they always talk about, like, if they feel connected to the character, the things that they could play, the things that they could do. And I always tell them, like, this isn't to satisfy us. You know, it's not something that we do to satisfy us.
Yeah.
It's what the audience sees and believes. It's not what we believe because we feel it.
Right.
If I say, Shamiria, I love you, or Shamiria, I love you, I could believe it inside. I could know I love you. But for the way I present it, you just like
I
don't love me. I don't believe that. You
Right.
know, so it's not about how it feels when I say it. It's about how you accept it and how you perceive it.
Right.
And that's what I always tell my students, like, know yourself in a realistic fashion.
As long as you've been in the business, do you feel like you have an advantage over certain actors, or because, like, let's just be real, like, you have certain connections, like, already established. You know what I mean? But do you feel like because of that you have an advantage more so over people, like, in actors in your character range, or is it like not so much? It's like you still gotta prove.
Nah, you know why? Because, like, even though I've done a lot of work and I have a reputation in the industry, there's still people that's done less work than me that have bigger names. You know, so it's like I look at it this way. My talent is what gives me the advantage over everyone, right? But it's still fair game because the producers may look at me and say, too young, too stocky. We want darker skin. We want taller. We want more charismatic. We want handsome. We want ugly. And that's something that I have no control over.
Like, how do you deal with the rejection of the business? Because there is a lot of rejection that comes with being an actor. And I know a lot of people, it's something that a lot of people can't handle. Like, do you ever just kind of get used to it? Like, does it bother you anymore? Or just
It doesn't bother me anymore. I realize that I'm a realist. The only time it bothers me is if I go in there and I don't do what I'm supposed to do.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, damn, I lost out on that opportunity. That's on me. But if I'm auditioning for something that I know is out of my stretch and out of my range and I don't get it, it's like, all right, cool. People get rejected every day in some way, shape, or form. You know, life itself is it's going to have different forms of rejection.
Right.
So like, if I walk up to you and you're like, in your mind, you're like, oh, he's handsome, and I feel a vibe, and then I say the wrong thing, and now you're like, oh, no, I'm good. I can pick that up, and now that will bother me because I know I messed it up. Yeah. But if I walk up to you and you don't even look at me, you're like, no, thank you. All right, cool. It's about 500 girls walking past. I'll just go talk to somebody else, you know? So it's like, I kind of just look at it that way. There's so many opportunities out there that it doesn't make sense to get caught up on one. And like, my thing is that everybody in life needs love, right? We all look for that one mate. But how many times do we get rejected in pursuit? Right. Whether we have a girlfriend or a boyfriend for 2, 3, 4 years and it doesn't work out, it's a form of rejection. And then now we're on to the next one until we find that one source of love, you know? And it's like, you don't give up with that rejection because you know that the ultimate goal is worth it. And it's the same thing in this industry. It can only take one role to put you over the top. One role. So if you let the 20, 30 rejections that you face being an actor push you back and put you in your feelings and make you say, all right, well, I'm giving up on this. Well, you was never built for it in the first place. Right. You know, so, and I'm not saying that you won't feel that slight depression or feel down or feel inadequate at times. I'm not saying that. But that's a natural thing. But if you let it get the best of you to where you start second guessing the reason why you're doing something, that means you never really had a love for it to begin with. Yeah. You know, you always had that golden egg, that the money or the fame or the house or the cars, and not just the love of the craft. Yeah.
Well, one last thing.
Yes, ma'am.
What words of encouragement, like, do you have for actors who are a bit, like, discouraged or, you know, who are a bit down?
Okay. I actually have a story for this. In 2013, there was 3 friends that went on a little trip together. They rented a small boat and they went like out on the ocean fishing and things like that. They hit a storm. The boat was wrecked. They had like this big, I think it was like a 10 by 12 piece of wood that they were like floating on. Yeah. And they all grasped onto it. They floating in the middle of the ocean just waiting for help. No radio, nothing. And about a week goes by. They wasn't really catching much fish, you know, much food. They had one fishing rod. So they had enough food, but no water. So they started drinking like the seawater, the salt water. Yeah. It made them hallucinate. So some of the friends started hallucinating and things like that, right? One of them, he said, I can't hold on anymore. Jumped in, let himself drown. Wow. 2 days later, another one, he said, yo, let's be realistic. We're not making it. There's no way we're going to make it. We're going to die out here. And the other friend was like, yo, just hold on. You don't know what's going to happen. He said, I know it. I could feel it. He jumped in. He let himself drown. About 15 minutes after that, the friend with perseverance is the one that remained. And you know why? Because the whole time, he's thinking about his wife and kids back home, that he has something to get back to, that he has a future that needs him. The other 2 friends were focused on the present, or where they presently were. I'm in the middle of the water. They never saw the future, the bigger picture, the things that they had to get back to. And that's why they wasn't able to hold on. So for actors, I say perseverance, you know? See where you want to be and work towards that goal. Don't look at the present. Because your present is just a reflection of what your future will be. So if you're just focused on this, that means your future is just going to be this. But if you look ahead, then presently you'll be working towards that goal. And that's my words of encouragement, man. Just stick with it.
Nice.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Marc, for coming through.
Yeah, no problem.
Awesome interview.
Cool, dope.
I'm pretty sure, I know there's some actors out there now who, you know what I mean, will be stronger and better because of your words. One other thing, though, if I'm an actor and I'm looking for classes to improve my skill set, and I'm interested in taking your class, how would I find you?
Well, first you would lose that accent and then go on mjjactingacademy.com.
Okay.
Yup.
All right. Thank you again for coming through.
Yeah.
Stay tuned, ladies and gentlemen. We have our special roundtable discussion coming up. Don't go nowhere.
Listen, we met a few weeks ago at the speed dating seminar. I had conflicts at the time, but I am now conflict-free, and if you're still in the market for an agent, I would love to work with you. Yes, Allison, I know. I haven't heard anything from them yet, but they're just trying to find the right role for you. Think of it that way, okay? If I hear anything, I'll call you. PMS Talent, this is Pam. Hey, Paul. Yes, I got the reel, thanks. It's fine, it works. November. I don't have any notes, it works. It works. Paul, it works. Don't worry, I've been submitting you. If I hear anything, I'll give you a call. PMS Talent, this is Pam. Hey, Allison, nothing yet. I'm sure you were great. Don't worry about it. If I hear anything, I'll call you, okay? PMS Talent, this is Pam. Hi, Sean. Yes, I know, it's been a while since I've sent you out. But trust me, you're being submitted. Don't worry, you'll get something soon. I'll call you if I hear anything. Okay? Hello? I mean, PMS Talent, this is Pam. Allison?
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a special edition of our Roundtable segment. Tonight's guest is Samuel Smith. He has been in a host of TV series. Most recent is The House of Cards and Daredevil. Tonight's topic of discussion is a very important topic for actors, dealing with rejection. Now, rejection is a huge part of being an actor. So, you audition, or sometimes you don't even get an audition. It's just how the business works. So what keeps you going in spite of?
In spite of rejection?
Yeah.
Well, I think it's all about perspective. Mm-hmm. If I go in hoping, wanting a job and don't get it, then I'm broken.
Right.
But if I go in really to give a performance, a free performance, and something may come of it. And if that happens, then I'm okay. If it doesn't happen, I can let it go because I didn't go in needing the job. Right. It's only when you go in needing the job and have to get it, and they reject you, you're sad.
You're broken.
I'm broke. Fix me, please.
It's funny though, because when I very first started off, getting out there and auditioning, it pretty much, it hurt my feelings though. You know what I mean? I took it personally.
Listen, over
when
70%
I didn't get,
of your jobs, if you're lucky, right? There's some people, I knew people that came to New York and literally got nothing. Auditioning for years and got nothing.
Really?
And in getting nothing, they left broken. A lot of them started to exclusively teach or go into another field altogether. Yeah. So if you look at it as rejection, this can be a bad business.
Yeah.
A terrible business.
Yeah. It's funny because old college professor of mine was always ask, who are you? And she would express how important it is to know yourself. Tamia Stewart, Alabama State University. I didn't get the importance of that until I got out into the real world and I saw how how cold it can be.
You know, Dr. Stewart spoke a lot of validation and self-validation. And if we use the jobs that we get as validation exclusively, then you'll be heartbroken.
Right.
If you can't validate yourself, it'll be hard to wake up the next day after an audition that you knew you were supposed to get.
Right.
If it's at the Billie Holiday Theater and you don't get it, you're like, well, I can't even get a part at the Billie Holiday Theater? You'll be broken. So you need to be able to be self-validated. And then once you're self-validated, nothing can really stand in your way.
Yeah. It's funny when you said, you know, when you don't book a role you knew you were supposed to get.
Right.
You know, 'cause I'll be honest, I'm going out to auditions like I know I killed it. Like you can't tell me I didn't. Like, yes, I shut it down. Like, yes, I did. Nothing.
Listen.
You know what I mean? So it's like, does it ever make you wonder, like, well, dang, like, what did I do wrong? Could I have done better?
It's perspective, right? 3 weeks ago, I went out for this role for this television show called Greenleaf in Atlanta. Flew down, it's down to me and another gentleman. And I knew I had it.
Yeah.
I didn't get it, right? So the perspective on it wasn't like, oh my God, like, when am I gonna get it? It was, oh, I'm close.
Right.
Oh, I'm close.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
So now you're bringing me in, I'm one of two, I'm close. You know, so if you look at it differently. Now, I won't say that I don't have bad days. There's absolutely those days where you're like, you know, my dog died and I didn't get this role.
Right.
You know, I'm hurt.
Right. Yeah.
I'm real hurt.
So what would you say the most valuable lesson if you've learned from the business itself?
The most valuable lesson from the business. Wow. Don't take it personal.
Right.
This is not personal.
Right.
Right? Don't take it personal. And own your own stuff.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
If you own your own stuff, you're always hired. You always have a job.
Right.
Don't take it personal when someone else don't hire you for their work.
Right.
Because they own it.
Hey, that's so true.
So they can hire who they want to hire.
That is so true.
If you own it, you can hire who you want to hire.
Well, one last thing, because I got to kind of wrap it up.
Okay.
What words of encouragement do you have for actors out there who are struggling a bit and who are a bit frustrated with the business?
Change your perspective, you change your life. If you change your perspective on what you're doing and how you're going about doing it, you change your life. See, most people look at it like it's a personal offense against them.
Right.
I'm not getting it because you don't like me. I'm not getting it because they don't want that many black people. It's not enough black roles being written or da-da-da. Well, if there's not enough black roles being written, why don't you write one?
Right.
Change your perspective. You'll change your life.
Wow.
You'll change your experience.
Indeed. And it's definitely the truth. Because perception is everything. Like
Everything.
Wow. Well, thank you so much
Well,
for coming on the show.
So much. All by myself, just a one-on-one.
That's right. All day.
All day.
Just you
Alabama
by
State.
yourself. Hey, I need an interview guest. Guess who's going to be the interview guest?
Right? I will interview me.
Right.
Today we're going to have Mr. Samuel Smith on the show.
Right.
Being interviewed by who? Me. Mr. Samuel Smith.
Yeah, me too. That's a wrap for this session of the Roundtable discussion, ladies and gentlemen. Stay tuned for our Limelight artists. Thank you, kids.
What's he that wishes so? My cousin Westmoreland. No, my fair cousin, if we are marked to die, we are enough to do our country's loss. And if to live, the fewer men, the greater share of honor. God's will, I pray thee, wish not one man more. By Jove, I am not covetous of gold, nor care I who doth feed upon my cost. It yearns me not if men my garments wear, such outward things dwell not in my desires. But if it be a sin to covet honor, I'm the most offending soul alive. No faith, my cuz? Wish not a man from England God's peace. I would not lose so great an honor as one man more methinks would share from me. For the best hope I have, wish not one more, rather. Proclaim it, Westmoreland, through my host, that he which hath no stomach to this fight, let him depart. His passport shall be made, and crowns for convoy put into his purse. We will not die in that man's company, that fears his fellowship to die with us. This day is called the Feast of Crispian. He that comes safe home will stand a tiptoe when this day is named and rouse him at the name of Crispian. He that outlives this day to see old age will yearly on the vigil feast his neighbors and say, tomorrow is St. Crispin's. Then shall he strip his sleeves and show his scars and say, these wounds I had on Crispin's day. Old men forget, yet all shall be forgotten, but they'll remember with advantages what feats they did that day. Then, familiar in the mouth as household words, Hattie the King, Bedford and Exeter, Warwick and Talbot, Salisbury and Gloucester be in their flowing cups freshly remembered. This story shall a good man teach his son, and Crispin Crispian be ne'er go by from this day to the ending of the world. But we in it shall be remembered. We few, we happy few, we band of brothers. For he today that sheds his blood with me shall be my brother. Be he near so vile, this day shall gentle his condition. And gentlemen in England now abed will find themselves accursed they were not here. And all their manhood's cheap was then he speaks that fought with us upon St. Crispin's Day.
On the next hashtag Actors Life, Wild 'N Out and Guy Code cast member Akash Singh opens up about his journey to success. Actors Jacob Berger and Jeremy Burnett discuss their humble beginnings. And another thrilling Limelight performance you won't forget. Don't miss it.
I'm an actor. I'm an actor. I'm the artiste. Okay. I'm ready.
This train is bound